Take a trip with us to learn about some of your neighbors with this edition of KXCR Conversations. These are neighbors just like you and me, and how their lives are filled with history. KXCR Conversations with you.
Hello and welcome to another exciting KXCR Conversations. I'm your host, Larry Bloomfield, and today we have another wonderful call-in guest. It is Cam Marston, and he is one of our DJs that plays little tidbits in between some of our shows when we need fillers and all, and he does a really wonderful job of making them with a little bit of a comical aspect to it, and it's certainly something that we could all use in our time, almost any time of our life. So with that being said, Cam, thank you so much for calling in and talking to us and introducing yourself to our community a little bit more so they know when they hear some of your Keepin' It Real, they know exactly where it's coming from.
I appreciate it, Larry. I'm flattered to be invited. Thank you very much.
Well, we thank you for calling in and talking with us and actually creating a cool little show that at one time, when we first got started about 8 years ago, we started playing some of your tidbits in between some of our shows and all, and then kind of lost touch with you or something like that. And well, luckily, recently, I have come across some of your stuff, or you found that, you send something out to us, and all of a sudden, we're back in communications with each other, and that is really cool because we've got you back on the station and we can put some of your show on our station again, which is called Keepin' It Real, and maybe we can get a little bit about that. But before we get started with that, can you kind of give us an idea who Cam is and how you kind of got started in wanting to do this Keepin' It Real show and all that?
Sure, I'd be delighted to share it. The Keeping It Reals are 3 to 3 minute, 15-second commentaries that I write weekly, and I challenged myself. This is kind of the manifestation of a midlife crisis is what Keeping It Real is. I asked myself, if I could do more of what I wanted to do and less of what I felt like I should be doing, what would I do? And one of the outcomes was writing these commentaries. So I proposed them to Alabama Public Radio. I live in Mobile, Alabama. And the lady that I contacted there kind of was interested, and she frankly put me through the ringer. And after I kind of passed her tests, she said, we'll play them every Friday. They're played in Alabama on Friday morning and Friday afternoon during drive time. We'll play them every Friday as long as you keep them coming. And that was 6 years ago. So They are a creative outlet for me that allows me essentially to process what's going on around me. One of these days, my kids will say, Dad, why didn't you document our childhood? And I said, I'll be able to tell them everything is documented, even these commentaries that are heard all over the state of Alabama and in a lovely city of Florence, Oregon. It's all there. So it helps me kind of get through my week and try to put a smile on things that I've seen and done that week.
Well, it's really amazing. And if anyone has not heard Keepin' It Real here, again, it is like a 3 to 3 minute and 15-second little tidbit about something that you've kind of gone through in your life, whether it was something in your past or something that you're actually going through right now and all. You tend to shine a little bit of a light on that. And, well, it's really nice to see light come into our lives at times because we tend to see so much darkness, and having some kind of light shine on an idea, this helps us to see that we're all human. And, you have made it so that you can actually laugh at yourself in a sense. And I think that really makes it even better comedy because you're finding those things that are, just everyday stuff. So, and that's amazing that you're able to put it together in a way where, you're going to have a history of stuff you could hand to your children someday. This is their life.
Exactly. Tell them exactly what they did and what I thought about it, and that was also shared with everyone they know at the same time. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Larry. There's a lot that we could get gloomy about, and it comes over the internet, the websites, the television every day. One of the purposes, one of the goals of Keeping It Real is designed for people to look closely around them and smile at what's going on, and smile at what they have versus what they don't have. Smile at what's good versus what's not good. So it helps me stay in that frame of mind, and hopefully it helps the listeners too. I would hesitate to say it's a calling, but I do feel like the people that I interact with, in fact, I met a lady this past weekend who was so complimentary of these things and how helpful they are to her day. And when I heard that, I thought, that's the reason I'm doing it. I definitely get something out of it myself. It keeps me from having to see a therapist, is to be able to write this stuff out. But to learn that it helps somebody get through their day, brings a small smile to their face for 15 or 20 seconds after the commentary, bingo. That's a hit for me. That's the reason I do it.
Well, it's nice that you're able to kind of go through that little 3 minutes or so and show how you get cut up into the muck and you get, kind of real. It's not like you're showing, oh, look at I'm above that or anything. You actually go through the topic, and then hopefully at the end there, you kind of give a little bit of a light on how maybe we could do it better, or you could do it better, or who knows what. Maybe there's a thought out there,
Yeah, exactly. And what could I do if I do it again? How should I see this differently? How does this change my behavior the next time around? There's always got to be a positive spin, and some of them are more purposeful, let's say, than others. Some of them are just me gluttonously remembering things that I enjoy remembering and writing about them. But some of them do have more of a purpose to them. I suspect if people were to listen to an inventory of them, they could tell the ones that I really worked on versus the ones that I threw together to meet a deadline. But the ones that I'm most proud of are the ones that really make people sit and think a little bit. And I got to say it again, me being the leader of that list, it really helps me process.
Yeah, well, I can see where it would help you out, too, in the sense that you ultimately want to leave the conversation in a good light, so you have talk through in your way of being able to say your bit tends to feel like you're literally working your way through the issue.
Yeah.
And that's kind of nice because it shows how, human we all are. And even somebody on the radio can be saying, yeah, maybe I stepped in something, but you can clean it off, and maybe during that time period, you might have conversation with somebody who knows where that might lead. Yeah,
I've been a generous comparison that has been given to me, and I don't exactly agree with it, but I'm flattered by it. And there will be listeners that remember Paul Harvey, who was just an iconic radio guy.
Oh yeah.
He did thousands of these. I remember looking him up online one time. He did thousands. I've done maybe 600, thousands upon thousands. He did it 6 days a week, actually. But what he always did was tell the story, and that was kind of his tagline, the rest of the story. And the rest of the story always had some sort of inspirational component to it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever be as good as Paul Harvey. But if I can make people feel like I remember him making me feel when I heard his commentaries, good stuff, man. Good stuff. And I kind of have this, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
We all got to help each other out.
Mm-hmm.
This helps me. This helps you. And as long as I keep pumping them out, I'll keep sharing them because I enjoy it. And I have to be honest, Larry, when someone like this lady this past weekend comes up and tells me how flattering or how helpful they are, my head swells a little bit. I'm not above a little bit of ego stroking from time to time, so I like that part of it too.
Well, it keeps it warm in your heart. You know that you're doing the right thing, and you want to keep on doing the right thing. So, it is amazing. There's so many things that happen to us every day, and yet you're able to whittle something into a story. How is it that you come up with so many, and over time, do you feel like some have a little blend there, or do you get ideas from other people?
Every day is a search for content. Every day. Every interaction I have is a search for content to put into Keepin' It Real. How do I retell the story? And I've been asked this question by friends before, And I think my recipe, if you were to listen closely, and not that you don't, but if you were to listen kind of analytically, let's say, is there's a moment in each of the commentaries that in real life maybe lasted 20 or 30 seconds, maybe as much as a minute. But the way I write the commentaries is to slow that moment down and retell it in slow motion.
Yeah.
That's where the content comes from. So the one that I recorded yesterday and that I'll email to you tomorrow, that will be broadcast tomorrow in the state of Alabama, is I slow down a moment that I had with my daughter and me at dinner the other night. That was really kind of a fun, touching moment. I embarrassed her, and she was flattered by the embarrassment, or she turned beet red, and I retold that story. And my methodology, and it seems to be working, is to take these moments, slow them down into slow motion, tell the story, short sentences, strong verbs, and that's my recipe. And then try to wrap it up at the end. Again, it's only about 530 words. Wrap it up at the end with something that ties to the beginning of the story. That's kind of the recipe for all commentaries, frankly, not unique to me.
Yeah.
Slow it down, short sentences, small verbs, wrap it up the way you begin it.
Wow. Well, you do a wonderful job. We really do appreciate that smile or break in the middle of our day or moment when we hear something that you've done that actually tends to take you out of what you might be thinking about, which could be very heavy at the moment, and just get away for a second and remember, oh, hey, I had that same connection with my daughter, and that's so real to me. So you can feel it, and you go home with maybe the desire to want to relive that moment, opposed to bringing home whatever you did have in your head and your mind and your heart, and that can be very full sometimes, and you don't get an opportunity to get back to what really is the real part of life.
I agree. Yeah, the real part of life. It's easy to get distracted. And again, I look each week for that content, that interaction that will serve as the content that is the real important component of life. And as I've said twice, if not three times already, it really is therapeutic for me to do that. It keeps me in the right frame of mind.
Well, I'm sure that our listeners are listening to you and probably think about a half a dozen different ideas in their mind that relate to maybe a topic you're talking about at times. So if they did come up with a thought or maybe something that they felt was really necessary to talk about, would you have a website or something that they could possibly send you a note or a comment on it?
I would be flattered and honored if any of your listeners felt it was reached out to me. And yes, the website is cammarston.com, CAMMARSTON.com. Keeping It Real is the love labor. What is the expression? The labor of love that I have, that I work on every week.
Yeah.
But at cammarston.com, they can see the full component of the work that I do. Many places on that site are places that they can reach out to me: email, cell phone, text message, etc. cammarston.com. If you've got an idea that you think I need to know about that may serve as good content for one of these things, please do send it. That would be wonderful.
Well, and it's also a good moment for a person to be able to get something off their chest. Like I was thinking, if I was going to add anything for you and give you an idea, I would say your coffee thermos, how I would love you to talk about how wonderful they all are, but yet there's always one little thing wrong with them. Maybe they drip, maybe that little rubber piece goes bad over time. It just drives me insane because I'm always replacing them. So I thought this would be a great place for Cam to come in and take over.
How relatable is that? You're exactly right. We have some in our house that have no lids, and we still hold on to them, hoping that the matching lid will show up someday. It's been years.
Yeah.
And we've got things that these have magnetic opener and closers on the top. And we can't find the other half of the closer. Mm-hmm. Or the paper cup, where the seam of the cup seems to cause a drip every time. Larry, that's a gold mine in there. That's at least 530 words. No problem at all with that one.
Well, when you get that one done, you make sure you let me know about it.
I will. and I will give you the appropriate credit. You can count on it.
Well, it's just a thought. And, as much as I really do appreciate all the companies who do put a lot of time and effort into making them, and I do know that there is a lot of effort and time into it. And gosh, my coffee might stay warm all day, and I'm really excited about that. But, when it gets right down to it, if that little rubber ring that makes it not leak winds up deteriorating and wearing out because of the coffee, and I can't replace it, the whole thing has to be replaced now. And now I have another coffee thing.
Right. I think an archaeologist will uncover our society 2,000 years from now and find that the coffee is still warm in the cup, but it leaks.
There you go. Well, Kim, it's these kinds of conversations that get into your Keepin' It Real show that really puts a smile on people's faces, and it's why we wanted to have it back here at KXCR so that, hopefully we can keep people in that real state and have a smile about it.
I appreciate it, Larry. I'm flattered and grateful for your attention and that you're carrying them on your station there in Florence. I'm honored, and I'm wonderful connecting with you. Thank you.
Well, before you get going and all, I did want to say to you that, you have a lot of shows out there, and they have the ability to be heard here on KXCR over the time period that we're playing. But if somebody, once again, wanted to maybe listen to a few more or something, is there a place where they could go to again, maybe listen to those or check out?
Sure. I have a couple of first, they can go to any of their favorite podcast apps and enter my name, Cam Marston, and they'll find the two efforts that I put into the radio. Number one is Keeping It Real. They can find the inventory of Keeping It Reals in there. And number two is the business radio show that I host out of the state of Alabama called What's Working with Cam Marston, where we explore workplace, workforce, and marketplace trends that are shaping the workplace, the workforce, and the marketplace. So enter Cam Marston into the search bar of your favorite podcast app, and you will get an option to listen to both of those.
Very nice. Now, just before I was able to get on this show with you today, I was looking at my emails, and I recognized something that you had sent me that was a new piece that you're putting together that is a little shorter, maybe like a 90-second spots. Can you give us a little heads up on that?
Yeah, I copied you on that. I don't know, you may have a purpose for it, but they're called vignettes. I'm told they're called vignettes. And they take the best ideas from the What's Working radio show, again, workplace trends, and we put them into 90-second bits. They're actually a sellable item that the way they work is about a 10 to 12-second teaser, a commercial that is sponsored, and follow it up with this resolution to the teaser. So it sounds something like, hey, this is Cam Marston. I'm going to tell you how to build the best teams possible. We'll get into it after this. And then I play a commercial. It could be a commercial for a car dealership. It could be a commercial for a bank. And after that 30-second commercial completes, it's me back on the air saying, all right, so you want to build a team? Here are the 3 things you need to do to build a team based on my What's Working interview with so-and-so. We hit those 3 things, and then we say, to hear more, find me online or whatever it may be. So it's called a vignette, and it's a product that I'm bringing out to the marketplace to pick up advertisers as well as to promote the show.
Oh, very good. Well, there you go. Some more from Cam Marston. Hey, you definitely are keeping it real, and we're really excited that we have you here at our show today. I am going to play one of your shows so that everybody at the end of this particular conversation can hear a little bit of what it's like to keep it real. We're keeping it real.
I'm grateful. Thank you very much. Do you know which one you're going to play?
We have a good handful of them that you've recently sent us, and we started playing them. I'm not sure exactly which one it will be, so I'm kind of going to keep it open so that everybody can know that there's just so much out there that if they're interested, they have to look into it a little further or listen to us.
I love it. Yeah. You're keeping it real and keeping it open all at the same time.
There you go. Hey, we're talking again to Cam Marston, and he is a new DJ here of Keeping It Real. It's a small show that plays in between, wherever we need it throughout the week. Cam, I can't thank you enough for coming on and talking with us today.
I'm flattered for the invitation, Larry. Nice to make a connection with you. I look forward to doing it again sometime.
Very good. Thank you, and thank all my listeners for listening to KXCR 90.7, your relevant radio station. And now, from Keepin' It Real with Cam Marston, here's a piece to send us out.
On this week's episode of Keeping It Real, Cam Marston tells us about the first golf tournament he's ever played in and how well he fit in, unfortunately.
I have never played in a golf tournament until this past weekend, and I signed up at the urging of some friends. I found a golf partner who had never done this before either, and he and I set out to slay our opponents. We got killed and tied for last in our flight. The tournament itself was flawless. The hospitality of the hosting organization was flawless. The customer service of every individual I had contact with who was part of the event was flawless. It was a great event. But here's what I took away from the weekend. Here's what stood out. If you were ever curious to know what a bunch of middle-aged, primarily white guys do when they get together for 3 days of golf, you shouldn't be. I say that being one of these people. We are a horrifically boring, uncreative, homogeneous, but very, very nice and polite group of people who can't dance to save our lives. I watched it all weekend and felt sad for my people. When I saw us try to dance, though, I had to turn away. It was like watching an unbalanced washing machine, kind of randomly wobbling in the laundry room, with no concern at all with the music or the beat. Every stereotype you can come up with fits. We ordered the same drinks at the bar. It was this newish drink that I was unfamiliar with called the White Claw, and it was the rage this weekend, probably because they're gluten-free and low on calories or carbs or something like that. We wore nearly identical clothes the entire weekend. Even the 70s-themed costume party had most of the men wearing nearly identical costumes. All of us had even bought the costumes the same way. If you want to know how we dressed, go to Amazon.com and enter 70s disco costumes for men in the Amazon search bar, and everything that shows up in the top 2 or 3 rows of items was at the costume party. Hardly anything else. At one point, I drove past another foursome of golfers. They were stopped, waiting for the group ahead of them to clear the green so they could hit. They were wearing nearly the same clothes, and I promise I'm not making this up. They were playing James Taylor from their portable speaker. Is there anything more middle-aged white guy than 4 guys in nearly identical clothes, all who had the same haircut if they had any hair, listening to James Taylor? They were probably talking about mutual funds or the economy. I shook my head. Shame. Mind you, I'm a part of this group. I saw myself out there many, many times in many places. And I kept wondering if penguins were to come stare at us as we played golf, would they look at each other and say, "They all look exactly the same to me. How can they tell each other apart?" It's time to change. It's time to shake things up. It's time for the over 50-year-old Cam 2.0 to come out of my shell and feel free to be me. Maybe I'll get a plaid shirt. I'm Cam Marston, and I'm just trying to keep it real.
To hear more of Cam Marston's commentaries, search for Keeping It Real on your favorite podcast app or find them on Facebook.
This has been KXCR Conversations with you, a regular feature here at KXCR. Having a conversation is easy. Call 997-5252. Email info@kxcr.net. Or visit us at the station across from the library. Our combined history makes our community. We all have the energy and power to do good things. Organizing and energizing ourselves is a great step in conversation. This is Community Radio, KXCR, Florence, 90.7.